On today's episode of Getting Real with Goldie, we're going to talk about first responder therapy. I am a first responder therapist. I spent 4 years working in men's prisons, which I think is the only reason that gives me much credibility with this population. But I'm still growing and learning as a therapist, taking trainings, doing all that kind of stuff. So I want to talk a little bit about what it means to me to be a first responder therapist and some tips and tricks for anybody who's interested. Number one, my why for doing it was because when I worked in men's prisons, I spent a lot of time talking to the officers that I worked alongside with and helping them. And so at some point, I figured I was tired of dealing with inmates who were not necessarily committed to rehabilitating themselves. And I wanted to focus more on the people that were in our community, or, in this case, in prison, keeping us safe and protecting us. Another reason why I really love this population, and it's a hard population to break into because there's still stigma about mental health and about all that kind of stuff. A lot of times people won't seek treatment because they think, I'm going to lock them up in a psych ward or take their weapons, things like that. Not the case, right? But it's a misconception that a lot of people have. So once you kind of understand that that's not going to happen, a lot of times the first responders that I treat too, they're coming to me for other issues, not necessarily related to the job, but it is important to be culturally competent about the job. So there's lots of acronyms. For example, you should know the difference between ALS and BLS if you're working with paramedics and EMTs. I learned it. I wrote it down and I paid attention to it so I don't ever have to ask again. And I think that is something that is also helpful for firsties, is the idea if somebody is culturally competent and knows what they're talking about, you don't have to over explain yourself, which takes a lot of time out of sessions to do. Another thing is dark humor, right? If you can't laugh at really fucked up shit, this might not be a population that you want to work with, because they see stuff that is outside the normal range of human experiences, and they need to be able to talk to somebody who is going to be able to tolerate it, and not necessarily cry. Because if I cried every single time one of my people told me about some of the things that they've seen or had to do, they would stop, shut down potentially, and then want to take care of me because that's their nature. I also love firsties because I can be real with them. I can talk like a real person. I can help them with some of the negative self-talk, and basically they've already demonstrated psychological resiliency. So this is a population that, they just need an extra boost every now and then. And I hope that helps anybody who's interested in becoming a first responder therapist, or, just knowing that there are people out there that are culturally competent in that line of work and want to be able to help you, not just to be a voyeur to hear the cool stories, because that's creepy.